In the ancient land of Canaan lived twin brothers named Esau and Jacob. They were born to Isaac and Rebekah. Before we continue, I want to ask you this. Have you ever been in a difficult situation where you encountered an offer that could alleviate that hardship? An offer so tempting that it made you contemplate sacrificing something significant in your life? Or perhaps have you found yourself in dire circumstances where selling a cherished possession seemed like the only means of survival? Before we dive into this video, I'd encourage you to click that like button and subscribe to our channel if you haven't. Your support means the world to us and helps us continue creating content you love. Don't forget to share this video with anyone who might find it helpful. Now, let's jump right in. The deception of Esau's blessing. Isaac was the son of Abraham, a significant figure known for his unwavering faith in God. He grew up in a family blessed abundantly by God and carried on his father's legacy of faith. He got married to a woman named Rebekah. She was very beautiful and virtuous. His father's servant helped him find Rebekah, and they believed it was meant to be because of God's plan. They couldn't have kids for a while, but Isaac prayed hard, and Rebekah finally got pregnant. But her pregnancy wasn't smooth sailing. She felt like there were two babies fighting inside her. When her time to give birth came, sure enough, there were twins in her womb. The first came out reddish, as if snugly wrapped in a hairy blanket. They named him Esau, meaning hairy. His brother followed, his fist clutched tight to Esau's heel. They named him Jacob, meaning heel. Isaac was 60 years old when they were born. The boys grew up. Esau, the elder, was rugged and skilled in hunting, favored by their father, Isaac. Jacob, on the other hand, was more inclined towards domestic tasks and intellectual pursuits, often staying close to their mother, Rebekah. These contrasting personalities led to tension between them, and Jacob, being clever and shrewd, saw opportunities where Esau did not. One day, when the brothers were still young, Esau returned home from hunting, exhausted and famished. He found Jacob cooking a savory stew. The aroma filled the air, making Esau's stomach growl with hunger. Esau begged Jacob for some of his stew, pleading that he was so hungry he felt like he was going to faint. "Whoa, Esau, my brother," Jacob greeted him, a sly glint in his eye. "You look positively famished. Come, sit by the fire and warm yourself. I have just the thing to satisfy your hunger." Esau gratefully collapsed onto a rough-hewn stool, his stomach rumbling audibly. He watched hungrily as Jacob ladled steaming broth and chunks of meat into a wooden bowl, the tantalizing scent making his mouth water. "Oh, Jacob, please," Esau pleaded, his voice thick with hunger. "I can hardly bear it. Give me some of your stew, I beg you. I feel as though I might faint from lack of food." Jacob's lips curved into a knowing smile as he held out the bowl, his mind already calculating the possibilities. He had anticipated this moment, had seen the opportunity it presented, and he was not one to let it slip away. "Of course, dear brother," Jacob replied smoothly. "But first, you must agree to a small trade." Confusion flickered across Esau's weary face as he accepted the bowl, his hunger momentarily forgotten. "A trade?" he echoed, brow furrowing in confusion. "Yes, a trade," Jacob affirmed, his voice low and persuasive. "I will give you this stew, enough to satisfy your hunger and then some. But in exchange, I ask for something of far greater value." Esau's eyes widened in bewilderment as he took a cautious sip of the stew, the rich flavors exploding on his tongue. "What could you possibly want that is worth more than this?" he asked, gesturing to the bowl. Jacob's smile widened, his gaze never wavering from his brother's face. "Your birthright, Esau," he declared, the words hanging heavy in the air between them. At the mention of his birthright, a flicker of understanding passed across Esau's features. The birthright, that sacred inheritance bestowed upon the firstborn son, was a thing of great importance in their culture. It meant wealth, power, and prestige, everything that Esau had always assumed would one day be his by right of birth. But now, faced with the choice between his immediate desires and the long-term implications of his decision, Esau hesitated. He knew the significance of the birthright, knew that it was not something to be taken lightly, and yet the aroma of the stew, the gnawing hunger in his belly, clouded his judgment and weakened his resolve. "Surely you jest, Jacob," Esau protested weakly, even as his hand tightened around the bowl. "You cannot mean this seriously. My birthright is not yours to take." "But if you are truly so desperate for this stew," Jacob countered smoothly, "then surely your birthright is a small price to pay. Think of it, Esau. A bowl of stew in exchange for a lifetime of wealth and power. It is a fair trade, is it not?" Esau wavered, torn between his hunger and his sense of duty. He knew that Jacob was right, knew that the birthright was a prize worth far more than a simple meal. And yet, the aroma of the stew, the promise of immediate gratification, called to him with a seductive allure that he found impossible to resist. In the end, it was his hunger that won out. With a heavy heart and a gnawing sense of regret, Esau set down the bowl and nodded reluctantly. "Very well, Jacob," he conceded, his voice heavy with resignation. "You may have my birthright, but know this, one day you will regret this deceitful bargain." Jacob's smile never faltered as he watched his brother slurp greedily at the stew, his own mind already racing ahead to the possibilities that lay before him. He had won, he knew, had outmaneuvered his brother with his cunning and his guile. And as he savored the taste of victory, he couldn't help but feel a surge of satisfaction at the thought of the future that lay ahead. The birthright was a significant thing in their culture. It meant that Esau, being the firstborn, would inherit a double portion of their father's wealth and would be the leader of the family after Isaac. But Esau, in his hunger and exhaustion, didn't fully understand the weight of what he was agreeing to. He thought only of his immediate need for food and agreed to Jacob's terms without hesitation. So, Jacob got what he wanted, Esau's birthright. And what did Jacob gain from this exchange? Well, the birthright meant more than just material wealth to him. It was about power and status within the family. Jacob coveted the birthright because it would give him control and authority, things he desired deeply. But beyond that, Jacob also understood the spiritual significance of the birthright. It symbolized the covenant blessings promised by God to their ancestors, Abraham and Isaac. By acquiring the birthright, Jacob positioned himself as the heir to those blessings, securing his place in the lineage through which God's promises would be fulfilled. So, Jacob's desire for the birthright wasn't just about immediate gain. It was about securing his future and fulfilling his ambitions. And in his cunning and strategic thinking, he saw an opportunity to achieve his goals, even if it meant taking advantage of his brother's vulnerability. This story underscores the importance of recognizing and valuing blessings in our lives, whether they are material, familial, or spiritual. Esau's impulsive decision to trade his birthright for a bowl of stew highlights the danger of prioritizing immediate gratification over long-term blessings.